Hey everybody, Rahul Shah, Doc Shah Financial, and in today's video, I'm going to give you 8 personal finance tips to master, and these are really going to help you save more money, generate more investment returns, and just overall live a much happier life. So let's go ahead and jump right into them. Okay, number 1 is you don't have to buy every single investment. Now, I know this seems obvious, but a lot of people make the mistake in investing of getting FOMO. So they see the price of something rise, and then they just want to go buy it and jump in. Maybe their friends own it, or they see people that they know on social media own it. And this is a really dangerous strategy, although it's not a strategy, because you don't need to own everything. And if you're just chasing things because the price is going up, you're going to lose a lot of money doing that. If you want to be a successful investor, you need to do what Warren Buffett and a lot of the other greats say. You have to define your circle of competence and stay within that. I'll give you a good example with myself. I don't particularly understand biotech stocks that well. It's not really an area of expertise for me, and it's not really worth my time to actually try to decipher that world because there's a lot of uncertainties, and the people that understand that have spent decades understanding medical literature. They probably are doctors themselves, or they've got PhDs. It just wouldn't really be feasible. So I don't buy biotech stocks, and that's okay. I'm perfectly fine watching the price of every single biotech stock in America go up tenfold and me not owning any of them. I don't care. I know what I can evaluate in investing, what types of businesses I'm good at evaluating and predicting those cash flows, and I stick to those businesses. And likewise, you don't have to own one of everything. So don't think you need to buy one of this, one of that, one of that. Don't be a kid in a candy shop when you're trying to be an investor. Stick to what you know, and you're going to be much better off that way. And number 2 is stop borrowing so much money. We as a society have really become accustomed to having debt and taking loans for basically everything. I mean, you could take a loan to buy an iPhone. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. And I want to actually explain to you very quickly what loans are for. You see, borrowing money is there to make productive investments. Okay, so let's use an example. Let's say that you have a pizza shop and you make the best pizzas in town and you've got a line out the door. Well, the problem is that the line is so long that half of your customers just give up and they leave. So you have an idea, hey, I need to get a second oven, but maybe you don't have the money to afford that second oven now. So what would make sense? Well, you'd go to the bank and you'd say, hey, look, I've got this business. These are my, financials. I need a loan to get a second oven. Can you give me some money? So the bank loans you the money, you take it, buy a second pizza oven, and now all of a sudden you're able to serve twice as many customers because you got 2 ovens. You can make twice the amount of pizzas that you could make before. Now with the extra money that you generate from this second pizza oven, you can then pay the bank back and you're left with this second pizza oven free and clear to serve twice as many customers. So you borrowed money to make a capital investment that actually gives you a return. But nowadays what people do is they borrow money to consume. So they borrow money to buy a car, right? The car is not producing you any income. It's actually costing you money every single month. Now, I'm not saying don't buy a car, obviously. I'm just saying that financing a car doesn't make sense because it's not a productive capital investment. People don't realize this distinction, and it's very important if you want to be a good investor for not just this year, but for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. You have to have the right framework and really understand what investing is, what investing isn't, and borrowing a lot of money is not part of the good investing category. All right, the third tip to really understand, and this could have been number 1 to be honest, is the concept of delayed gratification. So a lot of people want, they want stuff now. I mean, we all do to some extent, right? I mean, if I had the choice of having a mansion now or in 10 years, of course I'd pick now. But the thing is that there are no get-rich-quick schemes. There are no shortcuts in investing. It's going to take time and it's going to take sacrifice to build your investment account up. So you're going to need to have delayed gratification. You need to be okay living beneath your means for a small period of time so that you can actually generate a capital base that will generate interest and thus will take care of you. And then you can go crazy. You can buy whatever you want. But you have to have the concept of delayed gratification. You can't just go out and buy everything that you want the second you see it, And one really good tip, just on sort of a smaller level, with the things you buy in your daily life, is sleep on it. Give it a good 24 hours, and if you still want it the next day, then you can go ahead and purchase it. Some people will use 72 hours, some people even use a week, but give it at least 24 hours and see if you still want the item, and I bet that will save you a lot of money. That's a huge ROI right there with that one little strategy. Okay, number 4 is forget budgeting. Seriously, it sucks. Who's going to do this for the rest of your life? You're really going to sit here and, count how many paper clips you use and put a cost down to that? And I mean, I don't have the time for that. You probably don't have the time for that. And When we make changes to our spending habits or our investment strategy or whatever, any change we make to better ourselves, it needs to be easy, repeatable, and for the long run. And I personally am not going to budget for the rest of my life, so I'm not going to bother with it for 1 hour if I'm not going to do it for 1 decade. What you'd rather do is reverse budget. And this is a much better strategy because it's easier, it's more consistent, and you can do this for the long run. Reverse budgeting is taking your income and immediately having it stowed away and spending the rest. See, what we normally do when we budget is, let's say we make $5,000 in a month. So we go out and we buy a bunch of stuff, and then whatever is left we take and we spend. And when people budget, they're trying to mitigate how much they spend in their expenses, but they're still spending first. And that is the biggest problem when you budget. You have to save first and spend what's left. So you can do that by reverse budgeting. So let's use that same example. If I make $5,000 on the 1st of August, well, then I'm going to direct a certain percentage, let's just say 20%, immediately on August 2nd to be taken out of that bank account and into my brokerage account. And then I can do whatever I want with the rest. And you can play with these variables. It doesn't have to be 2,000 out of 5,000, so 40%. You could save 20%, or you could save 10%. Whatever the number is, do it in a reverse budget strategy so that it's automated and it's easy to do and you don't really have to think about it. That's going to stick with you with the long term. Number 5 is don't compare yourselves with others. Seriously, don't, like, the things you see on social media, it's all fake, okay? So just understand that no one lives a perfect life. And if you sit here and you're 25 or you're 35 or you're 45, whatever your age is, and you're comparing yourself to somebody of that age or a colleague or a peer or a friend or somebody you see online, you're going to come up disappointed. There's always somebody who portrays a better life than you. So this is a losing game. It's a fool's errand to try and sit there and be the best versus everybody else in some particular financial category. You need to focus on yourself being better than the you from yesterday and just having good habits in place. And if you can do it consistently and in a manner that's automated and it's easy. So like I said in the last example, just having your savings automatically tucked away to your brokerage and then invested in a particular ETF or whatever the case is, you are going to reap the benefits of this tenfold, 100-fold, over the course of your lifetime, because every little dollar that you put away, while it might not seem like a lot, it is a lot. And it's going to make you a better person, and it's going to make you better than the person you were yesterday. And that's all that matters. Nothing else that you see on social media matters. So don't compare yourself to others. Don't try to go out and buy what other people are buying because they own it and you want to look cool. Forget that. Being yourself is cool, as corny as that sounds. So don't get caught up in what other people are doing. And number 6 is understanding risk. A lot of people look at investing as risky because they think, well, I'm putting capital into the markets and the markets could go down and I could lose money. And there is, of course, risk in investing. But people don't ever look at the flip side, which is there's even more risk in not investing. If you just take every dollar you make and tuck it under your mattress, you're going to be in for a very rude awakening come retirement when you need to actually spend that money, because the purchasing power is going to get destroyed. You have to invest, and you need to build a capital base that will then ultimately generate enough interest to support you when you aren't working anymore. I mean, God forbid someone watches this and they become disabled. If you have at least a capital base that's generating interest for you in the background, thank God you don't have to worry about money. You worry about your health. To have to worry about your health and money, that's a disaster. So there's a lot of risk in not investing. So you need to understand that. And on a more granular level, when you look at stocks, okay, investing in a stock, what makes that risky is if you buy it at a price more than what it's worth, okay? If you buy a stock for less than what it's worth, the risk is dramatically less. Now, there's always risk, but it's so much smaller than overpaying for a stock. So if there's a stock that's trading at $50 in the market and you buy it for $500, you're probably going to lose a lot of money. But if you buy that same stock that's worth $50 at $5, you got a good chance to make a ton of money. And so you want to understand that risk in investing is buying a stock for less than what it's worth. And you can also smooth out the volatility by contributing to your investment account regularly. And that's what I talk about. Good habits yield good results. Number 7 is understand that little amounts today make huge differences over time. And I'm going to give you one very simple way to understand this. Let's assume you're 20 years old watching this and you're going to retire at age 65. And let's say that every single year the market gives an 8% return. If you put $1 in today at 20 years old with those parameters, in 45 years, you'll have $32. That's huge. I hope you understand where I'm going with this. So it's not $1 that you put into the account. You think it's $1 that you put into the account today, but you actually just put $32 into this account when you put that first dollar in, because that's what the actual value of that dollar is. And so understand that small contributions make huge impacts. If I take the same example, but just multiply it by a larger number, if I put $100 in, well, that's $3,200 that I just put into that account. So understand that small amounts, while they might seem small nominally and to you right now, they're actually huge when they're compounded over time. So put money into your account. It doesn't matter if it's $1, it doesn't matter if it's $100, $1,000, whatever it is. Put money into the account because it's worth a lot more than face value. And number 8 is hold stocks for the long term. Peter Lynch famously said that stocks aren't lottery tickets. Behind every company is a stock. If the company does well, the stock does well. It's not that complicated. And that is one of the best investing quotes in history, because you have to understand that the company's stock is tied to the company's earnings. If the company's earnings go up, the stock's going to do well, generally speaking. And if the company's earnings go down, the stock is going to do poorly, generally speaking. And so if you hold a stock for a long enough period of time and the company's earnings are going up, you are very likely to make a good amount of money. And when you invest for the long run, you smooth out a lot of the volatility that just comes naturally with the market. You invest when times are good, you invest when times are bad, you invest when times are average, and you wind up basically dollar cost averaging into the market, and you get a little piece of all the good, bad, and average times. And generally speaking, the market's always gone up when you look at it over 100 and something year history. Now, past results are not indicative of future results, but I mean, 100 plus years is a pretty good bet. So have a long-term perspective and you'll be all right. So there you guys have it. There are 8 personal finance tips to master. And if you guys need any help with financial planning or investment management, just shoot me an email, Raul@DocshaFinancial.com. I am taking on clients. I'd love to connect and see if it would be a good fit. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.